Welcome everybody back to the Femme Sculpt podcast. I have an incredible guest with us today. His name is Richard. Richard is the head coach for Mars Venus Coaching, and he's also my personal mentor. He took me through my gender intelligence, business and relationship coaching training several years ago, and he is now taking my partner Danny through this training as well, which is really exciting. So welcome Richard to our Femme Health podcast today.
Welcome, everybody. I'm going to help any way I can.
I'm so excited that you are joining us today. And I wanted to invite you on, Richard, because we've been speaking a lot on our podcast into the importance of optimizing our hormones so that we can more efficiently lose weight or maintain a healthy weight. And this is especially important as women age because we become more and more sensitive to our hormone fluctuations. And this oftentimes makes us feel like we are gaining weight out of nowhere, even though nothing else has changed in our world. And no matter what we do, it seems very difficult to lose that excess weight. And I know that you have some very valuable insights into this discussion because of your expertise in this gender intelligence arena. So thank you for sharing your wisdom with us today in this topic.
Welcome.
So we've been having a lot of discussions about our hormone hierarchy, and in particular, hacking one of, I know, your favorite hormones to talk about, which is oxytocin. Now, when oxytocin is high, it helps to lower cortisol. And when our cortisol is low, it helps to keep our insulin in check. And when our insulin is in check, this is the optimal way to access fat loss. And of course, the opposite is true. When cortisol goes up, oxytocin comes down, and this increases our insulin, which makes it almost impossible for women to lose weight. And this is one of the greatest challenges for women in our modern society today, is they are just so stressed out. Being Wonder Women, they're tackling so many things on their to-do list every day. They're even often at times having challenges in their relationships, which increases their stress. And this just creates this vicious cycle, which impacts their health and their ability to lose weight. So let's start there. I would love to hear your wisdom on this topic when it comes to specifically the importance of understanding and consciously using oxytocin to our benefit.
Right. Well, and this doesn't apply to men. Men have a different hormone, but for women, this oxytocin production actually does lower cortisol. And like you said, when cortisol is low, it balances out that insulin. Part of the problem, in my opinion, is the mindset of being stressed out, being aware that you're stressed out. It's not just being stressed and you can do a lot of things and not absorb the stress. And especially women that learn to slow down. Because one of the things about overwhelm and stress and all of that, it's a mindset that they have a lot on their plate, but it's not that. It's that they're trying to do it all. They're trying to do it all right now. They're trying to do it all today. And so having that kind of slower mentality and slowing things down so that you can get a lot done and do it in your feminine energy. Staying in that feminine energy raises oxytocin. Staying in that feminine energy in your relationship with a man. Because don't forget, and this is a stressor for both sides, when you're running around like a chicken and you're in your masculine energy, it pushes him into his feminine energy, because that's the dynamic between the man and the woman. So if I'm in my feminine energy, then it stresses me out more, and she's already stressed out running around like a chicken. So the first thing we want to do is start lowering cortisol by slowing down. So what's important, number one, is to be aware. I think that's the biggest thing that we as coaches try to do with our clients around the world is wake up, be aware, slow down, do things more intentional and deliberate, feel your body. You can feel when you have high levels of cortisol, you feel that stress, and a lot of it is a mindset. Many times I'll tell women that say, I'm in overwhelm, I'm running around. I'll say, great, let's take out a clean piece of paper and let's write everything down that you're doing. Remember, it's not just hormones. The brain in a woman has the two hemispheres connected with that tissue, that corpus callosum, and that corpus callosum is 40% larger in women. 40%, which means the left side and the right side of the brain are talking to each other all the time. Men, we don't have that problem. We're on the left side of the brain, the right side's taking a nap. We're on the right side, the creative center, the left side goes to sleep. So the fact that you have all that information going back and forth makes you feel like you have so much to do. And when I get them to take out a clean piece of paper and say, let's write everything down. Let's use our real eyes, not our mind's eye. And I've got to do this, and I've got to do this, and I got to do this. Oh, and that's pretty much it. It just seems so much bigger in our head that if we can dump it onto paper and slow ourselves down and just do item number 1, and let's do item number 2, and let's, enjoy an hour of our time, slowing things down changes that hormone. And we have the brain and the hormones acting together. Right? It's never just the hormones. We have the brain chemistry, the serotonin production, the dopamine production, which has a lot to do with your happiness and your excitement for life. All of that is brain chemical, brain wiring, and hormones all in orchestra together. And that's why I say be more aware, because women that are more aware say, this is a time in my cycle where I need love. This is the time where stay away from me. This is the time where, I want to talk. And they don't communicate that with their partner and say, in this cycle, in this 30 days, week 1's going to be amazing. Week 2 is going to be okay. Week 3, ooh, but week 4, I'm back to inaction. They don't really communicate that well in a way that doesn't make a man defensive or, you're sick all the time or you're this, because then that just adds to her stress. And when it adds to her stress, then she doesn't feel well. And then boom, it's a vicious cycle. We want to break that cycle by waking up.
Absolutely. And I want to say, I actually want to thank you, because this awareness has profoundly impacted my life. It has changed my life. It has elevated my relationship to an experience of love and safety and support that I've never experienced before now. And it does come down to awareness, because when you have this powerful awareness, you know that you're always one choice away from changing your state. And it's not that my life is less busy or less stressful, or that my head is less noisy. I have a particularly noisy head, so I have become very aware that I am creating a lot of the overwhelm for myself at times. But with the awareness, I now have tools. And like you say, for women, it's about coming back into your body. And it doesn't mean you've got less things to do on your to-do list, but it means that you are more constructive in asking for help and creating an environment that is supportive of your nature. And it also means that you can invite playfulness and a new state of mind when you're tackling certain things. So just as an example, one of the things I don't enjoy in my morning is the school run. And so when I find myself getting into that overwhelm and that head stress of like, oh my gosh, I've got so much to do today, and I've got all this driving around 3 different schools this morning, I can actually just come back into my body and I can choose playfulness and joy. How do I make this enjoyable? How do I get out of my head and back into my heart and actually make this a good time during my day, a day of connection? Or how can I ask for support?
I learned, go ahead.
No, that's it.
I learned a brand new tool the other day from another coach. They said, and you said it, I have a busy mind. Mm-hmm. The way to shut down a busy mind, so simple. Hum.
Yes.
I never thought of that. I've been coaching for 20 years, and this young coach said, oh, I just learned this. And I've been telling it to all my clients. When you have that busy, you can turn it off and get more into your feminine energy by simply humming. I don't care if it's happy birthday, just hum it, because humming shuts that off.
Yes.
It's an amazing tool that your people watching this can benefit. Just start humming.
One of the most profound moments in my life of transformation is I'm very sensitive to, and as women are, and you might speak into this, there's a lot of noise in my head, but when there's noise in my environment, my nervous system is very sensitive to that. And so one of my triggers is being in the car with children, because it's a closed in space, and them being noisy and laughing and playing. And back in my early mum years, I was the cranky mum in the car. I would constantly be reactive and tell them to be quiet. And I had this moment of awareness probably about 8 years ago now, where I realized they are not the problem. I'm the problem. My head is so noisy that their noise is competing with the noise in my head, but I'm the one that needs to silence the noise because they're just playing. They're just being children. And if I can silence my noise and come into my body, then I can hold space for them to be playful and to be children. And that was so transformational for me.
That was a decision you made. That was the awareness that I'm talking about, is be aware of your body, because the body affects the whole mindset that you're in. If I don't feel well, I'm going to be more grumpy with my wife. If I don't feel well, I'm going to be shorter with clients and my kids and everybody. And I'm not even realizing that I don't feel well. So I'm just reacting instead of going, something's wrong with me. I'm not feeling 100% today, or I'm awfully tired today. And what can I do about that is either take a nap or get better sleep, or just being aware, to me, is the key to all of this. And Kira, you know, as a coach, that the most exciting thing in my life is waking people up and making them aware. Just of everything. Don't just walk on the floor. Feel the cold on with your bare feet. Feel the tile. You know, when you're eating the food, don't just eat it. Taste it. Chew it. You actually be in that moment. Drinking coffee. Taste the. How many of us just drink the cup of coffee? We don't actually go. I do. I go. This smells great. Let me put it in my mouth, because I just want to have that moment. And when we learn to do that, the relationships get better, your mindset gets better, and then your body finds the right weight it's supposed to be when everything is in balance.
Yeah.
I never, ever coach a client on losing weight. When they come to me to lose weight, I coach them on, how about we have a healthy lifestyle? If we have a healthy lifestyle, your body will find it's smarter than you think. It'll find the proper weight. It'll find the balance of all the hormones, but we don't allow it to do that. We're too busy, you know, feeding it, doing this, running around, and not being in check with our body.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the key, that awareness, that checking in and going, how do I feel today? And if I feel great, and vibrate, to me, that's the other key, is that vibration. I have another coach in our system that created a product called Tune In, where you learn to tune in to your favorite music to raise your vibration. You cannot think about high school, think about a song that you had in high school. Mine was an Ozzy Osbourne song, Crazy Train. And if that comes on the radio, my vibration goes up. Well, why don't I do that deliberately? Why don't I do that intentionally every morning when I stand on grass, watch the sunrise, feel that vibration, and hear that song? Changes my day. And when we vibrate here instead of here, normal vibrations about 100 megahertz for the human body. If we can raise that to 200, 300, 400, you can manifest anything, whether it's health or weight or money or love. You can manifest that because you're vibrating at a level that manifests. You don't manifest down here, you manifest up here. And so you want to manifest weight loss or feeling better or hormonal balance or financial success. It all comes from a higher vibration. And that's what we have to be aware of. Where are we vibrating today?
And that's one of our favorite quotes, actually, that we use a lot in our programs, is how do I want to feel and how do I lead myself there? So you always have the opportunity of self-leadership and operating in your personal power. Anytime that I feel myself vibrating at a low state, sometimes it'll take 2 minutes to catch myself. Sometimes it'll take 5 minutes. Sometimes it might take 24 hours. But
exactly.
It's the awareness, and you get better and better at catching yourself and saying, hang on a minute, I am responsible for how I feel. So how do I want to feel instead of how I'm feeling now? And how can I lead myself there? So for example, this morning, I've just had 24 hours of canceled flights. Everything that you can imagine went wrong getting home from my travels. I've had 24 hours of sleeplessness. And, you know, we had this interview that I've been so excited for, and I didn't want to shift it. And I'm like, okay, so what are the things that I know that I can do? You know, I've had a shower, I've blow dried my hair, I've done my makeup, I've done all those things, but I also went out and bought myself some beautiful flowers to make my
Excellent.
environment feel elevated. And that's something that makes me feel like a boss babe, and, you know, that I can show up in that self-worth and that desire and that pleasure for the day. I've got my incense on. I've had, you know, all of my
But
supplements.
these are all habits, Kira. These are all habits that you've created and I think success is 99% habit. And so doing things like being aware, being awake, buying yourself flowers. I have my daughter doing that for the last couple of years. Every Sunday, buy a bouquet of flowers for yourself. She goes, it makes me feel so good. And I put them in my apartment and they're there for a whole week. And I actually feel sad when they start to die. I can't wait till Sunday to go get new ones. But that it's a habit of, and you have to write it down and deliberately create that habit, because we don't do it. We get back into our world and we forget to be aware, to listen to our body, to work on the relationship. We forget all that because we get wrapped up in the moments. And when we get wrapped up in the moments, we lose sight of, wait. That's why I want every woman on this planet to slow down. And if you slow down, you can think clearer. You can be more deliberate and create those kind of habits. You know, I'll tell you a quick story. A month ago, I just got back. I was in Italy visiting two of our coaches. I'm doing a business proposition with them. I stayed at their house. I'm a very early riser because I love watching the sun come up. So I'm up like 4:30. I go outside. I made a little cup of coffee. I go outside. I'm watching the sun. And I see the wife, this woman, comes out of the back door of the house with her bathrobe on. And she starts walking along the edge of her garden. It's a big outdoor garden with a pool. And she's walking around the edge, looking at this plant, looking at that plant. And I said, Carolina, which you'll meet her in Bali, by the way. She's one of my favorite coaches. I said, Carolina, what are you doing? She said, I'm looking for miracles.
I love that.
I go, what? She goes, I'm looking for miracles. Wait, hold on. I have a visitor. Hi, Roxy. Sorry. I'm looking for miracles. I said, what do you mean? She goes, you see that plant right there? Yesterday it was only this big. Now it's this big. Do you see this over here? It wasn't open. Now the flower's open. Do you see that one? And she's highly successful. I mean, millions and millions of dollars. And I thought, do you do that everywhere you go? She said, yeah. I walk in the office. I look for miracles. Because you know what happens when I look for miracles? I find them. I thought that was so brilliant from a 32-year-old kid going, I'm looking for miracles. I stole that. I said, I'm going to teach every coach in the world to start looking for miracles when you walk outside.
And imagine how we set ourselves up for success in the day when that's how we wake up, with that perspective. And
that's exactly right. That's exactly, instead of, I don't feel well at this, I got to do all this stuff. I got to drive the kids to school. I got to do this and this and that. You just look for miracles, because anything we look for, the way the brain works, we find. Yeah. Whatever we're looking for, there is a part of the brain called the RAS, the reticular activating system. You can look this up. It's like our compass. I think I told you the story when I wanted to buy a red Escalade, you know, to pull my horses, a big truck, but I wanted a bright red one. Nobody has a bright red one. They're black, they're silver, they're white. I'm going to get a red one. I go to the dealer, I buy a red one. On the way home, I saw 11 red ones. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Did they buy them all today? 11. I'm not kidding. They were like on two of them on a corner, on the next corner. I said, how does that happen? Because now I'm looking for them, because I have one. And so that is the habit that we have to create, is to look for miracles, listen to our body, slow down. And we have to want it bad enough to write this routine down. I get every woman I coach to write a most amazing morning routine. Let's write it down, put it by your bed, and follow it today, follow it tomorrow. Put it on top of your phone, because you're going to wake up in the morning and grab your phone. I don't want you to grab your phone. I want you to grab the list and go, this is everything I'm going to do today. I'm going to do it slowly, and I'm going to look for miracles. And this is going to be an amazing day. And you tune in, turn on the music, do the routine like you do, feel amazing, and your world will change. I promise you, your world will change.
And it's having the self-worth to put yourself first and to make yourself a priority, and understanding that you do it for you, but you're also doing it in service to your family and all of your loved ones, because when you're at your best, everyone gets the best from you. And women, for the most part, set the emotional tone in the home. So when we're vibrating at a higher level, we really elevate the whole family. Because they're,
100%.
oftentimes they're leaning into our energy. I know now that as a woman, I am much more in my personal power in choosing my state each day. My children are no longer tiptoeing around me. They have so much more playfulness and joy around me, and I'm teaching them emotional regulation and how to operate in their personal power to elevate how they feel. And so it's so important that you do this for yourself, but you also do it in service for your loved ones.
Well, because, and we all know this, but we don't think about it every day. This is one of those awareness things. Kids don't do what we tell them. They do what we do. And if you really want to help your children, you have to be a role model. The day I learned that and became a role model for my son and my daughter changed. I'm not a dad anymore. I'm a role model. And so when I walk that talk, I can see both of them, how proud they are and how they start mimicking it and modeling it. My son just graduated law school, got married and had a baby. He's like following suit because I'm trying to be the best dad, the best husband, the best now grandfather I can. That's the role model part of us. It's the same reason they tell you on an airplane, which you just got off of, put your mask on first. If anything happens, put yours on, then your kids. Why? Because if something happens to you, you can't help them. It's the same in health. It's the same in love. It's the same in finances. It's the same in everything.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And what I find so intriguing and profound, and I know you're passionate about this too, and it's not often spoken about, that everything we're talking about has a direct impact on our hormones, and our hormones have a direct impact on everything that we're talking about. It's this two-way street, this cycle, and that's where it's so powerful to have this awareness. One of the things that I was listening to John Gray speak about recently is just the impact that low estrogen has on a woman's mindset, that when our estrogen is low, we are so much more attuned to the negative perspective. And we are so much more likely to lean in and ruminate and massage the negative perspective in our world. And one of the ways that women can boost their estrogen when it's low is through comfort eating. And oftentimes this is what women will unconsciously turn to make themselves feel better. But when you have this awareness, you understand that there are much healthier ways that are aligned with their goals, that they can boost their estrogen in ways that elevate their energy, but also that elevate the relationship. So I know we were having a discussion before this on the importance of communication in your relationship and the importance of being aware, which we've spoken about on our podcast, where you're at in your cycle and what's happening with your hormones, so that you can tackle this head on, and so that you can create harmony in your relationship no matter where you're at in your cycle. And this ultimately impacts your health as well. It's all part of the cycle. So is there anything that you want to share in relevance to that?
One thing I just want to back up for a second, though. Remind me of what you just said, but let me just back up. At conference, the global conference last year, John Gray said he was at a medical conference. And this guy said to him that your mind can affect the body, but the body can't affect the mind. A doctor said that. And John said, that's not true. That's not true. He said the mind can affect the body. If you feel you're sick or you feel a certain way, it'll affect, but your body can't have an effect on the mind. And I 100% believe that's not true. And I'll show you why. If you are sitting there and you talk to a person who's depressed or sad, or, in a really bad mood, you'll notice their shoulders are rounded forward. You'll notice their chin is down. Their eye contact is not there. So there's a lot of physicality to being in that state. If you change your body state, you literally put your shoulders back, put your chest up, put your hands on your hips, put your chin up. It's really hard to be sad in that posture. That affects your brain. And that's where he was arguing with this doctor going, of course your body can affect your thoughts. Medicine's a little far.
Yeah. And this is something I teach ladies as well. You know, we're at our desk a lot. We're doing a lot of behaviors where our energy is closed in. If you have any wounds around being seen as a woman, often your posture will be closed in. But when you consciously take moments to stretch out and physically open your heart space, take a yoga class, lay over a ball and stretch things open, you will feel a shift in the flexibility of your mind, the openness of your heart
Yes.
space, connection with others.
Yes.
And again, that's such
Yes.
a powerful practice to get back into your feminine body, which is going to have ultimately that impact, healthy impact on your hormones as well.
Yeah. Now, going back to what you said, is that communication with your partner, I think, is critical, because a lot of women either don't know they don't feel well because they haven't felt well for a long time. So they just kind of get in this habitual state of, I just don't feel well. So they just kind of ignore it. They ignore their body and go on with their day. And they wake up tomorrow and feel the same.
Or they just think they're crazy, or their partner thinks they're crazy. When I didn't have this
Or the
awareness,
partner,
I'm
right.
like, what is wrong with me? Like, why am I like this?
And you know what's interesting is the way in which you approach a man to support you in that quest to feel better, to make the relationship better, has a lot to do with men have a tendency of feeling ambushed by women. Women say things like, I need to talk to you. Whoa. Wait a minute.
Danny's face when I say that, I say it in a much better way now, but it's like, it's okay, you've done nothing wrong. This is gonna be a good.
But you have to, but women aren't good. They don't know. They don't know that men feel ambushed. We get home from work, we're tired, walk in the door, we need to talk. Oh my God.
So normally
I get nervous.
Go well for them.
It does not go well. So those are the kind of the way in which you ask, and saying things like, I want so much to be an amazing wife to you. I need your support. It would make me feel so great because you make me feel like a woman. And then you can go into the ABC, what you're really looking for, what kind of support do you need. But right away, it's that initial approach that dictates the success of that conversation, which ultimately grows into the success of the relationship, because it is all about communication. We love each other until we don't. And when we don't, that moment, and we're like, I'm sick of this, or I don't like this, it has a lot to do with that underlying communication was not there for a long time. And that's what I try to reestablish, getting women to learn how to talk to men without threatening them, without them getting defensive, without being ambushed, without being attacked, and saying, I really need your help in this. And here's my cycle. I need high estrogen. I need, high oxytocin. Because believe it or not, when a woman has high oxytocin, it literally, the testosterone in a man goes through the roof. You know why? Because he takes credit for that. He made you happy. He takes credit for that. And when he's successful at anything, testosterone goes through the roof. Mm-hmm. This is a really big subject, is that communication. So if you want to have that support, using the relationship to lower your stress, using the relationship, and it's just not just the women that have to approach better. The men have to stop trying to fix it. That's what men are always trying to do. And we're wired to do that. Our hormones are wired to do it, because when testosterone is up, we're succeeding, we're fixing, we're solving. That's what makes testosterone go up. And then you tell us a problem and say, but I don't want you to solve it. But we're wired to solve it. So men also have to learn to just let her talk it out. She's using the relationship to lower her stress. She's using that because as she talks about the problems of the day, her oxytocin goes up. And then he can sit there and listen to it. She's happy now, and I can take credit for that. If Valerie's happy, I did that.
Yeah,
and my testosterone goes up.
It takes time
so it's a win-win.
to lose that one. Yeah, I have to say, like, these skills that you're talking about, we've had so much practice now in my relationship, and it's completely changed the dynamics because we both utilize each other consciously and lovingly. We don't have to, we get to, and we choose to, but we use each other to hack each other's hormones so that we're both in an elevated, happy, connected state. There's things that I do consciously that help to keep his testosterone high and for him to feel appreciated and supported. And when I go first and do that, this man will fall over himself to do anything for me. And therefore I feel supported and I feel relaxed and I feel happy. And all of the children in our home, they get to benefit from us modeling this, but also just the energy that it brings out in both of us.
You also use that magic word, I feel supported.
Yes.
The problem is most men don't know what that means to a woman. They know what it means. I know what it means to me is go to work, make the money, pay the bills. I'm supporting you. And my wife is going, that's not even close to what I'm talking about. The kind of support I need is you listening and hearing me and understanding me and giving me a hug and, you know, just being that rock behind me. And I'm like, what, but not the money, not the, she's like, no, I could care less. If you're a supportive man, I don't care about the money.
The talking though,
I remember the first time, Kira, I remember the first time I told Danny, listen to her and don't try to fix it. He went like this, like a puppy. He went, what? 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 Why?
I think there's two skills. There's two skills in that, yes. And it's taken him time to be able to be in his body and really just be that space to listen and hold space. And I think there's two skills that each have to take responsibility for. The woman does need to take care with her language so that he doesn't feel attacked and defensive in the conversation. And the man needs to understand that she doesn't actually believe everything she's saying, but when she gets the words out of her body, she can return to the truth and her heart. And we process often at times our thoughts through the language. So because we're saying it doesn't mean necessarily we believe every word we're saying, but we return to our heart by getting it out. So Danny and I have both learned me to be much more conscious with the language that I'm choosing and to really take ownership and responsibility for how I feel and to not project or shame or blame. And at times, if I trip up with that, if I'm particularly emotional, he's learned to just hold the space and be an anchor and to not react. Because if he doesn't react, I then realize that I'm actually out of alignment. And if I have said something wrong, I will apologize. Whereas if he reacts, then it's a downward spiral for both of us.
Downward spiral. And you know, it's funny you say that because my son and his new wife came to me as a coach and said, what's the one piece of advice you would give us as newlyweds? I said, don't take anything personally.
Yes.
Period. Just don't take it personally. Whatever she says, don't take it personally. Whatever he says, don't take it personally. Because we tend to do that, and that's why we react. Yeah. Rather than, where is she coming from? Let me just listen to that. Let me get underneath that. Let me understand what's really going on here, rather than just the words she said. Because like you said, she probably didn't mean that, but that's the way she formulated it out of her reaction to whatever's going on in her body. So she's reacting to her body, and then he's reacting to her words. Neither are right. Neither. And that starts a spiral.
Absolutely. So interesting. And the other thing I would love you to touch on is women in the workplace, because I know that this has a great impact on how women show up in their world as well. And, you know, I very much am passionate about understanding the feminine energy and the masculine energy and how we get to thrive as, you know, women in this world. And we do have a lot of expectation placed on us. And at times, you know, there are a lot of benefits to us being in the workplace, but there are also as many minuses as pluses as with anything. So I would love you to share your thoughts on that.
Minuses, and I'll tell you, if you're aware, if you're awake, there's not a lot of minuses, because one thing I will tell you, I read a Harvard business study years ago that the more women in senior positions, executive positions, the more successful the company is long-term. Why? Because of that corpus callosum. They see the bigger picture. They want to fix problems long-term, not a Band-Aid like a man. We have to fix it right now, just get it out of my life and it's over, rather than what's the long-term fix of it. So to me, that's really critical, is how the men and the women in the workplace understand. John Gray talks about it in the book called Work With Me. It's blind spots in the workplace. And there's three sexes, he says: the man, the woman, and the woman who acts like a man in order to be successful. That's the woman we're talking about, because a lot of women believe that I have to act like a man, run around like a man, think linear like a man, give direction like a manager, and that's not true. Those women that I've worked with, corporate women that actually believe that I can lead with my feminine energy, that I can nurture my employees, that I can care about them, not their numbers, but them. Because if I care about them, the numbers will come, rather than why didn't you hit your numbers? It's a really good book about that masculine energy of this corporate woman. It's fine if she wants to do that, but then she's got to go home and turn it off. She's got to go home and get in her feminine energy, put on a pair of high heels, put some lipstick on, put her head on his shoulder, make him feel like a man, and get back into that feminine energy. Because one of the biggest problems is, again, like I said earlier, she'll push him into his feminine energy because she's so masculine and brings that home. And then you've got role reversal. And then you got men that are complaining. I can always tell when a man is complaining, he's in his feminine energy, because we don't complain, we just solve. And if we don't solve, we forget. Just forget it. Forget it. It's a problem. I can't solve it. Forget about it. That's very women can't forget anything because both sides of the brain are lit up all the time. So she's going to come home, push him into his feminine energy, and now they're both uncomfortable because she knows she doesn't belong there in the relationship. If she wants to use it at work to succeed, fine, but I teach women you don't have to. You can actually lead with that. And I'll tell you, attrition rate goes down. You don't lose as many employees. They're happier. They stay with the company. They're more productive because you're leading with that feminine energy. And like I said, if you take all these tips together and put them together, you'll find that your hormones will balance themselves. Yeah. Our body is designed to heal itself. It's designed to be in balance. But not if you're not listening to it, not if you don't hear it, not if you ignore it, not if you just look the other way and say, oh, I've just been sick for a long time, I'll always be sick. No, you won't. Listen to your body and let it heal itself when you're in your proper energy at the right vibration. That's the key to your happiness, your success in your relationships and in the business world. Because that's the biggest problem with women in the workplace is then they take it home with them. You want to do that? Fine. I don't recommend it. Lead with your feminine energy, stay in balance, make those long-term decisions. And I think you'll see your life, your relationship will change.
100%. And that's when we're the most magnetic as women, when we're operating from that feeling good state. And no matter what we're doing, and I think we can tie a bow around this whole conversation with this, it's choosing how you want to feel and bringing that feeling into every area of your life, whether it's your relationship with yourself, your partner, your children, or out in the workforce. When you lead,
you know what's the biggest problem, Kira? It's not choosing to feel that way. It's remembering to choose to feel that way. Yes. That's the biggest problem. I'm telling you, that's the biggest problem. I know a lot of people that go, I chose it today and tomorrow and the next day, and then they forgot.
Yes.
You know, they did it for 3-4 days or a week, and then they forgot. That is the biggest challenge, that if you can remind yourself, whether it's on your phone, on your laptop, or, you know, a sticky note on the mirror in your bathroom, something that says state, 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 look for miracles, slow down, give yourself direction until you create a habit. It only takes 28 days to create a habit, but most people don't do it long enough to create the habit. So they do it 12 days and they just woke up and forgot. And you know, that's the biggest, it's not choosing. It's remembering to choose is the biggest problem, especially as we get older. Yes. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. We just forget to choose. It's not that we don't want to. It's just I forgot, or I forgot until it was like noon. Oh, I forgot this morning to do all that. Because we're so creatures of habit. We are so creatures of our environment that it's so important to what can I do to remind myself. When I first became a coach, I had gratitude lists on top of my phone. I had a sticky note on the mirror. I wanted to create new habits for myself. And I knew I'm not going to remember to do all this stuff. Yes, I have a coach once a week. And I'll tell him, yeah, I did it 4 out of the 7 days. He's like, Rich, what do I need to do to get you to do it every day? I said, it's just a matter of remembering to do it. I just don't remember to do it.
Yeah.
That's the key. You're in the business, so you remember to do it.
Absolutely. Well, I've had to recondition myself and it took time, but you know, as women, we have been raised with this conditioning to, in many ways, behave like men, chase success, chase the result.
Yes.
But the truth is the masculine finds their fulfillment through the result, but the feminine finds her fulfillment through enjoying the journey to the result. So if the journey is not enjoyable, the result is not worth it to a woman. Whereas a man will get out of bed at 4 a.m. and get home at 9 o'clock at night for 10 years. And if he gets the result, it was worth it, the hard work. So for women, we
The
need
journey's not relevant to success.
Yes.
I
So
love that.
bring
That
joy
is so
back
critical.
to the journey. Yeah, so critical. And remembering that we're worthy, that we can choose that for them ourselves. But like you said, just retraining that habit of bringing joy into that journey. And that's where we find our fulfillment. And when we're fulfilled, we're healthy. And when we're healthy, our hormones are in balance. And that really is the foundation.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And do you know how many women I have that I coach around the world? Several hundred over the years, that I have them every morning in front of a mirror, hands on their hip, shoulders back, chest up, and go, I'm an amazing woman. I'm an amazing woman. All over the world, 42 countries, I have them doing that. And they go, it changes my whole day. Just starting with that. If you want to start with one thing, put a sticky note where you brush your teeth in the morning, and as soon as you go there, it says Supergirl, Supergirl pose. And they do the Supergirl pose and they go, it makes me feel amazing. And the rest of the day just flows.
Yeah. Beautiful.
That's what I advise everybody listening to this to do. Supergirl pose. Have your daughters do it. Stand in front of the mirror, because you can't be in a bad mood in that body language. You just can't. Yeah. It's impossible.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I have a young little 6-year-old, and she oftentimes will lean into a lot of negative thought processes, and we're in this reconditioning with her. And when I speak to her, I'm speaking into her body language, and to sit up and to open her chest and, you know, look me in the eye when she speaks to me. Like, these are things that we get to teach the girls in our, you know,
and it becomes a habit, and it'll change your whole life.
Absolutely.
When that little girl has the habit of her body language controls her thinking, she'll be a different person.
Definitely. Well, this has been such an enlightening discussion. Is there anything that you wanted to add to wrap up?
I just think it's important to be aware and remember. Those are the two biggest things. Is most people do know what they should do. They do know it. They know I should do this. They know I shouldn't do emotional eating, or what you called it. You know, you had a different name, but that kind of they know they should grab an apple, not a candy bar. They know they should do this. It's the challenge of learning to remind yourself, learning to be aware of every moment that you do. I try to live my life deliberately, intentionally, not just let the day. At my age, I don't want the days to fly by anymore. I can't. Days now are like, you know, the week is 24-hour week. Because it goes so, I'm like, I can't believe it's a Friday again. I can't believe it's a Friday again, because it just flies. I don't want to live my life where it just flew by. I want to control it. I want to control it just like I control my relationship. I want to have an amazing one. I want to be healthy. I want to be happy. All of that is deliberate. It doesn't happen by accident. Success, anything, doesn't happen by accident.
Absolutely.
That's what I want to remind everybody.
And that deliberate action, the last thing I will add to that is, when we choose what we want to bring into our world, we crowd out the things that are not aligned with our desires effortlessly. When you approach it from this energy of, oh, I shouldn't pick up my phone first in the morning, and I should start with a healthy breakfast, and I shouldn't eat that anymore, and I have to stop doing this. All that does is add weight and burden, and you feel like you're needing to rebel from all of the shoulds. Whereas when you just wake up and you choose to add certain elements to your day, it changes your vibration without focusing on the things that you should not do anymore. And it's a much it's the line of least resistance, right? And it elevates your energy in a way that is from this positive force that gains momentum. And you crowd out the so-called bad stuff without any focus on it. And that is the quickest way to elevate life.
And so how can you remind yourself to make that choice every morning? You do that for 28 days, your life will change.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much.
I want to thank you for inviting me. I enjoyed this. I can't wait to see you in Bali. We're going to have an amazing conference, and have a great day.
Thank you. You too.